Hello and welcome to a somewhat daily backup for Wednesday, the 16th of September. I am Gus, whatever nickname Nick would usually give me, and Nick is not here, everyone. How's this for a start? I can literally hear a toilet flushing in the background. We were ready to go. I finally got all my audio issues in line, and the other guy just failed to turn up. Calls himself a professional. Look at that, and now just saunters in, well aware of the fact that we're live.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
How are you, mate?
I mean, if we're going to judge professionalism, is it me who's running slightly late, or is it Pete who went live knowing that I was not in the room?
You had some important business to do.
We'll never know. Gus, what have you covered already?
I said hello to everyone. I said the show name. I said the date. And then I just ripped into you for the best part of like 5 or 10 seconds before we heard your toilet flush.
Yeah, cool. So I am, just so everyone knows, I am not solo parenting all day, but definitely solo parenting this morning. I've got a child upstairs asleep. Hopefully she'll stay asleep the entire time. I've got another one out there. I wore him out with 45 minutes of basketball this morning. He's now watching Madagascar while having morning tea. Hopefully it's all fine. But if he comes in here and there's something wrong, then we'll figure it out.
That's fine.
He's just learned how to use the bathroom all by himself. So in theory, that should be all good.
So if we hear another toilet flush, we shouldn't be worried.
Totally.
Although you will want to go and check what has been flushed. I believe that's a thing that you still need to deal with at this stage of parenting.
That's definitely the main thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Somewhat Daily Backup for Wednesday, the 16th
I've done all
of September. Oh, you've done all that? Okay, yes, fine. Mate. Well, I wasn't fucking here, was I?
I know. No, we've covered all the housekeeping. We've said hello to the chat. And now we can pretty much dive straight into it because it is a busy day for us. Obviously, for you, you've got kids to deal with this morning, and then we've got stuff to do this evening for the show as well. And we've got a heap of news to get through between that as well.
Absolutely. So let's jump into it. But we can't jump into it without thanking the most important person in our life. And I'm saying that full aware that there's a 3-year-old on the other side of this wall who can hear me.
Also, I'm just offended.
Exclamation mark Tim's in the chat. Get your Tims out in the chat right now. Tim from the Learn Programming Academy. If you want to learn programming from a man named Tim, then Tim from the Learn Programming Academy is the Tim you want to learn programming from in an academy setting. Tim is a gun programmer who has taught over 1 million students, I assume worldwide, not just Australians. There can't be 1 million people in Australia who are coding, right, Gus?
No, I think we covered this statistically. I'm more concerned about the fact that if you want to learn coding but not from someone called Tim, I mean, get rid of those prejudices. Like, I think just as you said, like if it has to be from a man named Tim, this is perfect. If you don't want it to be by a man named Tim, I think you're not focusing on the right part of why you're getting into this hobby or this career path, I should say.
I agree. Yeah, you should take a good hard look at yourself.
Totally.
But if you have come through the other side of that and you feel like you do want to learn how to program and code, then Tim has got you covered at the Learn Programming Academy. All the courses are video-based. They're easy to watch at all skill levels, and you can watch them offline and on your mobile phone. They're also cheap. Most of the courses are $20 or less, so Tim has got you covered if you want to learn that programming. And Tim's also there to help you become a better person by not hating people called Tim.
That's the first lesson.
Oh, yes, there you go. That one's for free. Okay, let's jump into the news today. And the big story that broke over the last couple of days, Gus, is right up your alley, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
And that is that the Oculus Quest 2 VR headset has leaked in full via a pair of promotional videos uploaded to a marketing hub run by parent company Facebook.
Is that a leak? Let's start with the obvious thing, which is that we're calling this a leak. This actually, a lot of images of the prototype of what this headset was going to be really leaked like a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of VR enthusiasts and hobbyists I saw were dropping that image online, which essentially just looked like a white Quest. There's very little you can get from the actual headset itself because all the actual information is on the inside of it. But that leaked 3 weeks ago, and then they're like, now it's an official leak. And I'm like, what age are we living in now where everything has to be done by a leak? It's just just say it's an announcement, Facebook. But they came out with this very full-on announcement video, very professional, very schmick, showing off the fact that there is probably what's going to be I'm going to assume a yearly iterative of the Quest or these VR headsets, because the Quest officially came out in 2019. So
really,
yeah, I think I'm almost certain it was sort of first half of or midway through 2019, maybe late. I could have sworn it was. So it's not that long since
we have the internet. We can find out this tech.
No, let's just speculate more. I think that has more entertainment value. But yeah, so look, it hasn't been long since the original Quest, I guess, is my point.
May 21st of May 2019.
There you go. So like whether or not this is them starting to put that sort of iPhone iterative nature to the headset, but well,
I would say that could be true, but I would also say that potentially they've gone. We put out the Quest as sort of like, here's an entry level into this thing, and then we learned a bunch of lessons from that, and have now kind of upgraded that in a more meaningful way.
Yeah, and the upgrade itself, I find, is sort of a bit of a mixed bag for me, Gesundheit. Is the fact that obviously there's some slight form factor redesign there, but nothing huge. But more importantly is the specs on the inside, which you would expect. And the main thing they've been touting is it's going to be powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon XR2 platform, which is essentially designed purely for AR and VR software. And I saw a lot of people online losing their minds about this. I don't really know much about this kind of processing power when it comes to like mobile processors, because that's essentially what it is. You're looking at the grunt of a mobile, that's the kind of processors that are used in mobile devices, which is essentially what this is. It's a phone strapped to your face. And that's what the Quest was.
Welcome to the future. Look at that VR future we're all hoping for.
Exactly.
Just
strap it on and get around. And so, yeah, I mean, like power-wise, there's a heap of stuff. I'm not sure if this pops up in the video, but there's like lots of graphs and stuff showing how much more power that provides. And then on top of that, they're talking about things like it's going to have 6 gig of RAM, but up from the original 4, and I think 256 gig of internal storage over the 156 that the Quest currently has. Now, it is good. These are all good sort of stat boosters, but I personally, and maybe I'm asking too much, because I genuinely do, I was expecting this to be that, hey, if we're going to release another one a year on, it's because we've made some major upgrades and we've realized we can do a lot more with this unit. And I was hoping it was going to be crawling its way up to on par with the Rift in some way, because as much as I love my Quest, look, just like some push up to there, because the software you actually see running in this demo, it's not particularly groundbreaking or a massive step up from where the Quest currently is. And what that is a lot of ported games that have stripped back textures. I mean, this stuff we're seeing right here, that's Rift. Like, I'm almost certain, because what you're seeing there is not Gods and Monsters. There's like a mythical Rift game that uses Asgardy kind of stuff. Yep. It was like a really big first-party game, and they showed a little bit of gameplay from that. But what I'm expecting is still that kind of like toned back processing power, because it doesn't look like it's the massive leap forward that stepping up to something like a Rift, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. That's the reason I would buy another. I would upgrade my Quest, but currently we're just seeing some features that are like, these are comfort features. These are a bit more space and maybe a bit more grunt. But people are still going to have to. Software developers are still going to have to make purpose-made Quest ports. And I'm curious, I think a lot of it's going to be backwards compatible with the current Quest, because there are so many out there at the moment. So I feel like they're still going to be hampered by those design specs or those like power specs, and not able to totally push into that new realm of maybe utilizing all that hardware power that the new unit has.
I mean, that's all very fair. I would argue that, because I have a Quest, and I think it's my favorite VR. I think in terms of because of the functionality of it, it's not the best VR, and it doesn't have necessarily the best library, but it does have the easiest. Like, just slip it on, and that's the whole point of it. The big weakness for me with it is that the screens in the lenses, they're pretty basic. They're not amazing. They're not the level that you see on other ones. So they are going that this is nearly 4K with this new one, which is a pretty big improvement. They say it's 50% more pixels on that. And so that, like, I think that just increasing the fidelity of something as opposed to necessarily the graphical grunt is probably not a big enough deal for me to upgrade, but it's like people getting into that space, then they're getting the good version. And the processing power isn't anything to be sneezed at. You're still talking about something that needs to be mobile and more importantly needs to be light, right? That's the key thing to that, is it needs to sit on your face comfortably because it is doing all the work as opposed to any of the other headsets where your computer is doing the work. So
totally. It's still like, it's an amazing feat of engineering and processing power to actually have that level of grunt just in a mobile device that, is doing VR work. I think they didn't really mention anywhere the weight itself and if there's been a drastic improvement on that. I think the emphasis there was, hey, there he is.
What's up? Nothing. You just wanted to come in. Okay. You say hi to everyone and then you go back and keep watching.
Okay.
Say hello.
Bye.
Oh, special guest Banjo. I like that you said say hi, he went bye. Like he already knew he was getting kicked out.
I'm done. Dad is doing important work.
The weight, they didn't drastically say there was an improvement on that. They were focusing more on stuff like the comfort strap on the back of the headset, which is like, oh, it's a new nylon. I was like, I couldn't care less about that. I know I watched so many VR hack videos of people redesigning the weight distribution on the headsets and coming up with like, there's ones that have that like click wind unit in the back that's just a single strap that goes around that people have said is actually like far more comfortable that you can buy and sort of adjust on it. And
but if they're adding this stuff to the actual unit to save people from having to homebrew mod straps,
totally.
Stuff,
I was hoping they would take more of a lesson from all that stuff and go, here's a slight redesign. Whereas basically what they've done is like it's a nylon softer strap, and I was like, right. I was hoping for we've redesigned the weight distribution so it takes all that weight off the front, because as much as I love my Quest as well, I have limited playtime with it based on that weight and pulling on my neck. And I thought I was, like a young, fit, healthy person that might be able to just wear it for longer than all the... It's like, no, you can't. Like it does have a point where you just like, I have a sore neck. I can't thrash about anymore. So I was hoping
because you're old and falling apart. You're like wet cake.
Oh, so when you shook your heads and you weren't saying, I know what you mean. You were saying, no, you're not young. And
I was like, you're not young and fit at all. This is entirely on you. You can't hold up the 700 grams that is the Oculus Quest.
The main question is, would you? And I think you answered this before. Like, would you see yourself upgrading VR units? In this iteration, or let alone at all, because VR headsets for me are that luxury thing that I bought because I was like, I'm gonna spoil myself. It's totally unnecessary. I've got my gaming, hobbies ticked off with my consoles and my PC. Do I need this? 100% no. So it's definitely not like the way you upgrade an iPhone, where you go like, oh, look, I use this every day. I wonder, maybe it's just their way of drawing more people in the market. But as a current customer, I would happily wait the next 3 years until they've totally revolutionized how they can do this stuff.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think there's necessarily enough here for me to go, oh, I need this new one. I like the white. And if anything's going to get me, it's probably just the look of it, because that's the biggest change from what I kind of not even need, but like would desire from that, because I think that the Quest is totally fine for what I have right now. But I think it's also just a market threshold thing, right? That you go, there's only so many people buying VR, there's only so many games being made for it, the quality that demands the kind of trade-off of how much investment we put in this and blah blah blah. So I think that people getting into it, it's a really good spot for them to be getting in. And particularly if there's still no word on the price point or anything, but if this replaces the current Quest and isn't like they still sell the current one and the Quest 2
Classic
is more, if this just comes in and is now the new one, then that sort of, again, flags the idea that this is something that is just an iterative bump.
I totally agree. If this just becomes the one that replaces the current one on the store shelves, my only concern there is like if there is software designed specifically that utilizes that new grunt that they have, we then fall into that weird realm of, oh, you can play this on that version but not this version, and I hate that. I like a clean divide between consoles and generations of power. So it is more PC based, I guess. So maybe there are settings that you can be tweaked in the software. But I'd hate to see the library, what is an already very quite small library, being split in any way due to that power differential kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Well, cool. We'll see more about that because they are due to have, I think it's the 17th to the 18th, so very shortly they should be telling us more about that.
Oh, they're going to leak again, are they?
They're going to leak again. It's going to be a full leak, and it's going to be leaked on all their social media, and it'll be leaked by being uploaded to the official YouTube channel. It's just going to be an announcement at that point. Moving on, Fall Guys back in the news with just a very enjoyable thread that they posted on their Twitter account because their Twitter game is strong.
It is, isn't it?
Fall Guys Twitter. I mean, we should hire. I listened to an interview. NoClip did an interview with a couple of the developers, and it's just this one dude who was like, "Yeah, I know how to tweet," and so took on the duty.
I know how to tweet.
Yeah, and then ended up with a Twitter account that's like 1.5 million followers. It's pretty crazy.
Strange, isn't it? Because you can't plan that kind of media, that kind of influence. And even though the guy clearly knows how to tweet, like if any other company said have tried to do the same thing, they just fall flat in their face because it's like the more you try, the more everyone can just smell bullshit. Whereas, like, obviously this person genuinely is like enjoys the product and it relates to a sort of lighthearted look to their product. So yeah, I love the fact that it just naturally became this like meme in itself of the Fall Guys Twitter account.
Yeah. Totally. And so they put up this very long thread a couple of days ago talking about Cheetah Island. So it's just, I like these sort of insights into game development and it's quite a long thread and it's worth just going to the Fall Guys Twitter account and checking it out. It was from the 14th of September, but the crux of it was that they wanted to figure out how to detect cheaters and how to deal with cheaters in the game. Mm-hmm. So they had their own cheat detection system that they launched called Fall Guys Cheetah Island. And it was basically, we've seen this in, how have I forgotten the name? I host one of the friggin'
MOBAs? League of Legends?
MOBA. Oh my God, thank you. Don't let
I think you just got fired, Nick.
Jesus. Oh my God.
You've had a busy morning. It's all right.
So we see this in MOBAs where they matchmake cheaters into their own lobbies and stuff. But the idea behind this is that they had a cheat detection system that if you do X amount of things, X amount of times, then you start hitting this threshold in Fall Guys that it detects you as a cheater. And so then it would flag your account as being someone who cheats. And then what they wanted to do was then start pushing these people into Cheetah Island. Mm-hmm. But they needed to do it really carefully because you don't want to start putting people in there that haven't being cheated and are instead just playing the game weirdly or are really good at the game or whatever. So at first, no one was getting into Cheetah Island because the threshold is too high. So then they start to slowly lower it. And then, so they started to get people in. But the problem is that Cheetah Island was sort of like servers, obviously. It's not a physical place. And so you needed enough cheaters in your region
to find a match.
Able to find a match. And so there would be a situation where, you know, in Fall Guys, how you fall in that loading menu thing, then
stuck
cheaters would just fall forever and not actually be able to load into a match.
I mean, that's kind of like that's their punishment itself. They're in Fall Guys limbo.
Exactly. It's some kind of purgatory. And so they then sort of, people had started to figure out that this was something that was going on. Cheaters then realized that they could team up with friends who weren't cheating and that they could matchmake with them so that they could get out of the falling limbo that they were in every time they hit play. They would team up with someone who doesn't cheat. They would suddenly be able to matchmake into a normal server and they would be able to get back into the games. And so then they tried to patch that out before all the cheaters realized. Cheaters also realized they could use family sharing to share the game to another account and then use that other account to bypass Cheetah Island. Fall Guys disabled family sharing to fix that problem. And then they kept increasing the thresholds on the cheat detection so that it was like, we want to make 100% sure that everyone here is a cheater. And then they said last week, something exciting happened. There were finally enough cheaters to actually matchmake and create Cheetah Island matches. Here's a new problem though. People were uploading videos that we think are Cheetah Island. So then they started uploading these videos and it's just like, ever played to Reddit that it said ever played a round of Fall Mountain where all the players are cheating. And it's just, in fact, Pete, I'm going to link you this and see if you can bring this up. I've put it in that channel that we were just talking about that we never use anymore. And it's just like all the players cheat and then suddenly the round is over and no one can do anything. And so they went, okay, well now the game looks terrible because this just looks like a normal game of Fall Guys, which isn't working. And so they then have closed down Cheetah Island, and now cheaters just can't log into the game. So,
which I mean, it's kind of the solution from the beginning that most games take on. It's like, oh, you cheated, we won't let you in the game, and these guys have taken such a novel approach to it.
Totally, and I just love the idea that, and Pete, I'll link in another one here as well. There's a second one there, so if we get around to it, I should have given those. I should have given those to you.
But you were busy not being on camera.
But yeah, I do enjoy the fact that they're like, well, we don't just want to ban people outright. We want to give them some sort of weird hell.
As you said, like a weird purgatory punishment where they all have to fight against themselves. This raises the question because I want to know, how do you cheat in Fall Guys? Like, apart from obviously installing some third-party like aimbot assist or something, however that would work. Like, what's the way that actually does assist you?
So yeah, so the videos that they show are 100% people installing software.
Like they can fly around the map, or
there's like a speed one that's like a speed one where everyone just moves they finish the level in half a second, and then there's another one that seems to be, I don't entirely know what it is, but it kind of just flings you to the end of the level, so you don't even move, you just get thrown from the start line all the way end. Yeah, totally. It's like a hole-in-one golf shot style thing.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's the thing that they've been patching out. But yeah, Fall Guys. I mean, the real story here is that the Fall Guys Twitter account is just they're just strong. They're very charming, very enjoyable.
It is.
There's a child on a bike. Have you got your bike? Yeah.
I'm still yet to play Fall Guys officially. Like, I played a little bit for the show at the beginning, but like I haven't installed it. I haven't sat down for an evening of Fall Guys, and I'm not sure if I'm just holding myself off from that kind of punishment, because I've seen again such that mixed response from people who find it so endearing and the people who find it so frustrating, and I'm not sure which side of the fence I sit on. But I do love that, as they've taken this playful nature, that they've kind of turned the gaming world on its head with this game, and they've done the same thing with cheaters and gone like, we're going to take, as I said, a novel approach to it. And good on them for trying. Good on them for doing something different. I assume this is one of the cheating.
Yeah, so this
islands?
is one. So this is the fling you to the end, and everyone just gets tossed to the end of the level, which is very enjoyable. Yeah, and then I don't even know how the game detects a winner in regards to that. And then
I love how they just said they hadn't really predicted the fact that then they're like, oh, now it just looks like a broken version of our game.
Yeah, totally.
Which, I assume as well they were going to leave people stuck in that limbo. You can't earn your way off Cheetah's Island officially.
No, well, yeah, because I feel like once you've installed that software. Are you just testing it out?
Mic test?
Yeah.
The best was
say hi to Pete and Gus.
Hi, Pinga.
Hey, Ben. The best was before when you were testing your headphones, and he said, "Oh, there's something wrong with the auto gain on my headphones," and he walked away and told Banjo, like, something's wrong with my auto gain. And as he walked off, you just heard Banjo go, "What?"
Okay,
he gets it. He gets it.
You go out and keep playing, okay? Because I got to finish this off.
Limbot in the chat. I definitely heard Pingus as well. That can be a new combined. Pete and my combined nickname is Pingus. Oh, wow. That runs over as well. Yeah, right. It really is broken.
Yeah, it's totally broken. But
that's not even English.
Always a cheater. That's what I say. Okay, moving on now. Yep. And the real reason that Immortals Phoenix Rising had to change its name. So I love this story because the big thing has been that Gods and Monsters got announced. Mm-hmm. It's been around. That name had been around for a while, and it was like, where we going to see more of Gods and Monsters? What's going to happen with Gods and Monsters? Blah, 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 blah. And then Ubisoft come out and they're like, oh, actually, we need to change the name. It's now Immortals Phoenix Rising. People are like, okay. A little bit generic, I suppose.
People like me, who were like, I liked Gods and Monsters, had a nice, it rolled off the tongue well. Now, Immortals sounds fine just on its own, but then adding that byline of Immortals Phoenix Rising, again, sounds like a crap direct-to-video sort of sequel. Crap's not.
Totally. And I think it's hard to change a name once you've announced the name, it's just like,
Totally.
I don't know, it will always be that. So people were like, okay, there must be some sort of reason that they've done this, and maybe it was just some creative thing. And it turns out that the reason was that Monster Energy issued a legal challenge to Ubisoft saying that you're not allowed to use that name. And that's just the best reason to change the name of your video game ever, I feel like, which is Monster Energy said, no, you're not allowed to use that, which to me, I was very confused because I thought that and I'm not a lawyer, but I thought the way that the law worked in regards to that is that you just can't have things that could be confused to be the same thing.
Totally, yeah. If there was an actual similar nature of the product, like or maybe the way the word is used and the branding is like, yeah, actually shown out in public. But these are two. One is an energy drink, one is a video game, and they're both using a word from that exists before these products existed as well. There's no invented word here as well. So I'm totally on board with what you're saying, is that like no one's going to confuse Monster energy drinks with gods and monsters.
And so the reason that Monster Energy sort of came out and said, no, that doesn't apply here, is that Monster use their brand in the video game space. So they have it on gaming clothes, accessories, they sponsor esports events. But
That's a good point.
The big one, which seems like it had a lot of weight to it, is that they have an actual video game and it's called Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game. And it's like, I don't know if Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game, is important enough to be able to take down one of the biggest game companies in the world when it comes to that. But I mean, you know, that's just capitalism, I suppose.
Sorry, like, what about Monster Hunter?
Yeah, totally. Like, well, that's what Ubi came back with. They're like, there's hundreds of uses of the word monster in not only in live trademarks but in video games right now. Totally. So, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's you got lawyers have to do something. That's the thing. I just wish more lawyers did what the person who sort of broke this down did, which is Richard Hogue. So he is an IP lawyer, and he has a 26-minute video breaking down the Monster Energy kills Ubisoft Gods and Monsters name, going through the legal documents, and it's actually really interesting.
Really?
And yeah, so I encourage you guys to check it out if you're interested. HOEG, Hogue Law on YouTube. And if you want to spend 26 minutes going through some court documents,
I mean, the best way to go through a court document is to have someone literally highlight the bits and explain what it means. Like that actually makes sense versus staring at all that paperwork and being like, I don't know what Article 3 is, and I'm not going to refer to byline number 28 or something. But I mean, amazing that it happened that way, because I was looking at some interviews with some developers and how they were talking about why they made not only a title change but a bit of a graphical treatment change from that original trailer, which looked a lot more softer and Pixar-like. And they were saying they had a lot more time due to 2020 being the year it was, and they said they wanted to add as much as they could to the game. It's just a strange thing to see, like, a title change and an aesthetic change as well that feels like they've kind of matured the game a little more than what they were originally going with. That might have felt a bit kidsy. But that name as well, Gods and Monsters, kind of sits as a bit more like innocent and childlike, whereas Immortals Phoenix Rising feels like it could be some kind of sequel to Godfall or something terrible, which is just, a messy generic video game. So
your most hated game of the next generation. you can't stand it.
I really can't.
And we will be talking more about Immortals Phoenix Rising tonight at 8 p.m. on this very Twitch channel that you're watching right now. We're going to do a special stream where the four of us sit down, talk through what we played in the game, our impressions, and then take a bunch of questions from you guys. Then at the end, we'll kick it off. We'll round it out, with a playback of Steph and I playing the game. And the last thing I'll say on the whole name change thing is that, having played the game now, I do think that Gods and Monsters is a better name for it.
100%.
Because the game has a whimsy to it that I was not expecting, and actually has like a sense of humor to it that I wasn't necessarily expecting, and that a name like Immortals Phoenix Rising does not lend that sense to, whereas Gods and Monsters feels a little more like I don't know. It's just like gods and monsters. It's a little more playful, a little more sort of like binary cartoonery.
Yeah, it's like aliens versus cowboys or whatever it is. It's got like that fun,
totally
1v1. And you're right. The playful nature is summed up by the fact that, and we'll show a bit of this tonight when we talk about the game. Is like there are the gods who are like your Zeuses and stuff like that. They are characters in the game. I don't think you're specifically a god, but you do have these like large narrative devices of humorous, interesting made characters, which are gods. And so therefore it just feels like, gods and monsters clashing heads, having good times, running around old ancient Greece. Whereas Immortals Phoenix Rising feels like it needs to be covered in gold plated armor with glowing orbs and, huge 10 attack combos, which is fun. But,
but it's, I can't, every time I say the name, I have to think, I have to stop and think.
And it's going to be one of those running jokes.
What order do those words go in? Is it Phoenix Immortals Rising? Is it Rising Phoenix Immortals?
The Rising Phoenix of Immortals.
All of it can work.
And in 2 years, I will put money on the fact that people will still say, I've been playing Gods and Immortals, Gods and Monsters. Like, there'll still be that little sort of like tongue twister where people still refer to it or think of it at least as Gods and Monsters. So
yeah, totally.
That's at least what I want.
People like Maiden Muse who just said in the chat, wait, Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and Gods and Monsters are the same game? Yes, they are. And then, who was it? John Bibb says, sounds like Ubisoft weren't that attached to the name. I think it's more that the court system takes so long to drag this out that they needed to make a decision because that game comes out in 2 months. So it's like at some point we just need to we probably just need to give up this fight because we actually can't get it done before the end of
and unfortunately as well, because they were gonna base it around the red Minotaur bull character and the fact that you fly away, and they were gonna call it I think it was Red Bull Gives You Wings, but that title as well, bit ambiguous, and they got in a bit of legal trouble about that as well. So just tricky times for Ubisoft at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I'm just glad they didn't go with the working title, which is just where the main character does a ton of cocaine, and it was just called Coke
Mountain. It's just like a pile of cocaine. Oh man, there's so many gods and monsters as well. Oh, don't say that. Oh god.
Yeah, it's called Coke No Sugar, and your character gets offered Coke and sugar, and goes, no sugar, I'm on a diet. I'll just take the cocaine, thanks. Okay, so moving on from that, and please come tonight because I saw some people in the chat going, it just looks so generic. It sounds like it's just whatever. I think come check out tonight because we have some stuff to say. Yeah. It's exciting,
and we're in the studio. We're in the studio tonight. It'll be a nice, polished little production as well. So
not like this piece of shit.
No, we'll be
just wandering in everywhere on bicycles.
Nick will be flushing toilets in the background still.
Toilets flushing in, en-suite scattered around there. Whatever's happening right now.
Oh God.
Pete's gone unprofessional. That's what he's done. He's doing this deliberately.
I don't know if this is on purpose or... No, I'm going to say it was on purpose. It was on purpose. Very good. See? Very good. All right.
You won't get something like that tonight because it's too professional. We can't actually do that. The most unprofessional thing you'll get is Pete will just walk in front of the camera and fill the frame, and then Gus and I will just giggle. Moving on, and from a game whose name had to get changed to a game that... potentially we will not even be able to play because Gus thinks it will be #cancelled before release. And I'll tell you what, if it is cancelled before release, Gearbox are really gilding the lily on this one by pushing it right up until the day before it comes out.
Yeah.
They've released a new trailer for Godfall, which is extremely shining.
That's what I meant before. Like that Immortals Phoenix Rising name sounds like it just needs a lot of reflective armor on it because that's what we're seeing here. Very, very high level of detail and very particle effect heavy and all that kind of AoE attacks and that kind of stuff that just looks, I mean... some people will like this style of game. I don't know if it's going to be for me, if you can't tell my somewhat resentment already in my voice. It looks a lot more colorful from the demo we got at the end of
it looks so much more colorful
than the
month and a half ago.
The PlayStation showcase that they had it as they rounded out that with a really lackluster gameplay demo, which is why I have some sort of like disdain for this game. They had a really unenergetic, uninspired, boring, like slow walkthrough of the combat of the game. Whereas I reckon if they'd shown this, I would have been on board. I would have been like, hey, leak the release, bring it out early, don't cancel it. Because this is colorful, this is energetic, this is, what I would expect from a Gearbox kind of like, mythical, over-the-top swordplay game, if that's a genre.
I mean, it honestly looks like they just put a hell of a filter on it. They just kind of They just went, okay, we just need to punch everything by 200%. It's hard with this one for me because there is an element where these kinds of games where there's so much armor and so many particles and so much color, it does the opposite of what you're trying to do. It just makes it look really generic because it feels like you've just mashed so much stuff together that it's kind of hard to see what it is. But this trailer has done more to interest me in this game than anything else has so far. It looks like it's running pretty well. There's a ton on screen during this gameplay stuff, which again, like you said with that last gameplay one, where they're just kind of walking through an environment.
The combat looks like it's connecting a lot better. I mean, we're getting the polished version because it is a trailer, obviously. But that was one of my main issues with that demo was the combat looked kind of sloppy in the sense that, you know, you had enemies with health bars, so a lot of your attacks are just kind of like swishing through them as you're slowly chipping away at a health bar, whereas this does look a little more tactile, a little more, for lack of a better sense, like Dark Souls, like you are, you know, parrying and evading attacks with a bit more precision. So, I mean, that's
to me, this feels way more like
maybe a God of War kind of like.
Maybe a little God of War. No, it feels more like oh my God, sorry guys, I'm just having one of those days.
MOBA. Feels more like a MOBA.
Well, Pete's saying Darksiders. Warframe is what I'm trying to think of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Warframe is the game that it feels like. Where Warframe has, when you move, the movement is very slick, deliberate, and it's kind of, there's ramping to different areas, that sort of thing. And that to me makes me more interested in the combat of this game. I think that part of the problem as well, besides all the other stuff you mentioned about that initial preview, was that what they captured involved people swinging a sword, hitting someone, they would die, but the person playing had already hit for another attack. So there was like missed attacks and stuff where you go, well, of course that's going to happen when I play it because sometimes I'm going to mistime some things, but that shouldn't be how you present your game. Whereas this feels much more like everything, the movement is much more deliberate and slippy, slidey, and for me that creates that sort of like kinetic energy when you're fighting big groups of people. So maybe there's a little more. And now every time
when you do connect a hit, a giant promo word comes up and says combat and a little byline as well. So that's positive.
Yeah,
I got are you getting any Anthem vibes from this? Just in the design and the aesthetic of that like over design. I just thought like with the armor and the
chunkiness,
the chunkiness and kind of that zipping around between some of the combat. I don't think it will replicate that combat at all, but I just I don't know, part of me has that same like apprehensiveness of Anthem. I'm not sure. Yeah,
maybe Anthem was bland in a completely different kind of way. So yeah, we'll see. But it certainly does look more PS5-y than PS4-y.
Definitely.
And at this point, besides games, release date, price of console, the number one thing we want is a leap in generational fidelity. So, but we really do want games, release date, and price point before those things.
It's just sad that it will be cancelled before release. So
it's going to be so sad because it just seems like such a big game that Sony are putting quite a bit of effort behind it, including in its showcase. Obviously, Gearbox are, for some reason, still making trailers for this game that they're going to cancel the day before it comes out. I wonder what they're going to do with pre-orders.
Leak that cancel.
Just seems like a big troll. All right. Something that is not going to get cancelled and will, in fact, just live forever, Call of Duty Warzone, is not only coming to the Cold War, or I guess more technically, Cold War is coming to Warzone, but it's also coming to mobile phones.
Well, speculating based on the fact that it was a job listing, I believe.
Yes, they're looking for an executive producer, and with all the development in collaboration with multiple studios, this leader is a skilled communicator and development leader. You shouldn't use the word leader twice in one sentence. Who can define and harvest the important elements that define... Wait, you've used define twice as well. Define and harvest the important elements that define a best-in-class mobile game shooter. Clearly articulate why these elements are important and what their success criteria are, and shepherd those elements through a distributed development organization to deliver the highest quality software product. Basically, we're looking for someone. What you're looking for is a new writer, mate. So it looks like Warzone will be coming to mobile. I'm sure that this has been in the works for a while, but the timing seems pretty good considering one of the biggest battle royales in the world is no longer available to download on mobile. So this is, some sort of capitalization on that press, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's much more than that. This would have been in the pipes for a while.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just wanted to address the fact that this was leaked apparently as well, because it was codenamed as the game in the series referred to as WZM, which was a terrible codename for what everyone's assuming is Warzone Mobile or Warzone Monster. We don't know, but. That is a terrible code name. Yeah. Can I just say the point of code names is that's an acronym. That's what that is. Yes.
You've shortened it to an acronym. That does not hide anything. It should be called like Matilda the Musical, because no one will then think that this is Warzone on mobile.
No, exactly. And obviously the Call of Duty Mobile has a battle royale, or has the traditional, I think it was based more of Blackout from Black Ops 4. Is playable on Call of Duty Mobile. So whether or not this is going to replace that as the standard way that they do their battle royales now, by maybe going back to the same map that we're seeing in Warzone, and adopting some of those new things like the Gulag and elements like that. I mean, there is a market for this. I know, like, it is beyond us based on our because we're such young people with dexterous fingers and good eyesight. But like, I played.
You can't even have a quest on your face without falling over.
I played a bit of Call of Duty Mobile, and I really liked like the short, quick matches that you can play. But I tried the battle royale on a good, I think like an iPhone 9 or something like that. And by the end of it, as an experience, it was horrible. The game ran relatively smooth, but I'm pretty sure it was populated by bots, which is a big thing that you see from mobile battle royales. I think PUBG released with it. Fortnite, when it was playable, did have bots that sort of peppered throughout it to make a full match. But look, and as I said, it ran relatively well. But after the, sort of 15 to 25 minutes that a battle royale tends to take if you're playing okay, my phone was running hot. Like, it was, I've never actually had a game on a mobile device run hot, but it was actually scalding. I was sweating. My hands had fully cramped up. I had more gear than I knew how to deal with on a small, finicky menu at that same time. So, I mean, maybe it'd be nice to see if they can streamline some of the stuff you have to do in a battle royale to keep your team together and mark targets and move to areas and that kind of stuff as well. But look, I'm not surprised that they're bringing it to mobile.
Not that I know exactly what you're saying. It's funny to me that we're talking about a game that is about war, and that, obviously people in real life are out there risking their lives and going through hell, and you're like, oh, I played 15 minutes of this game and my hands are cramped up.
Yep.
I was getting all sweaty. The inventory management was really difficult. It was I don't think you guys understand just how much of a
I wake up with battle royale PTSD, just with like slightly sore fingers in the night. And just a few
you hear the
beads
boot
of
up
sweat.
sound of that game.
But look, I love, as it's no surprise, I love Warzone, so I will definitely give this a go. I assume it'll be free to play, like Warzone currently is. So if not just to see how hot my phone gets when I run it.
There you go. And then, I mean, this was always going to happen, and so well done. And I hope that the person who comes on board to be able to shepherd this project onto the mobile phone can also shepherd whoever wrote that job description.
Can I add one more note just as well? Like,
Please.
I thought controller adapters for phones would have taken off by now. I would have thought they would have taken off 4 years ago. I thought the second we got games like Fortnite running well, the people were like, oh, my phone can be a mobile device. And like we were looking at with the xCloud service of playing games, I thought we would see some first-party adapters that would like click into the top of your controller, and you would grab your Xbox or PlayStation controller and you'd slap your phone in the top, and it would have like seamless Bluetooth connection or some form of connection, and it wouldn't be a weird thing to hold a controller with a phone attached to the top of it. And I've done my best to look around. There are third-party ones. There's dodgy ones. There's super expensive ones. There's nothing that seems to work very streamlined with it. So that's a big point for me with mobile gaming that I thought we would have got to, because you can't do much with those movable, sticky, hot touch pads on either side. So I just thought that would have happened by now.
For me, I think it's a combination of a bunch of stuff. I think that if you want to have a controller and you're in a scenario where you can use a controller with your phone, then you're probably also in a place where you're at home or at a location where you might have a console or a PC. You also, a lot of the games that you're playing on your phone don't require it, and the effort that you would go to have to like carry that thing around, clip it in, blah blah blah, doesn't warrant the game that you've got. I think that lots of about how you use a phone, and for me, kind of the biggest one is that I just realized, like, I used to jailbreak my phone back when that was like a thing that you had to do to get more stuff on it. And I started off doing that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool because I can add some extra features and stuff. But then it just got to a point where I went, this is not worth the effort of doing it and maintaining and always having to like update in a certain way and blah, blah, blah. So I'll just go with whatever's there, because the phone is built to be the most convenient version of what it can be. And so as soon as you start adding things that are just supplemental to that, then it removes the whole convenience point. And at that point you just go, well, like, why am I doing it on this?
Yeah, true.
That being said, I think that the thing that will probably take off the most with using controllers is stuff like xCloud and Stadia. Because that's where you go. You're not playing a compromised version of your game. You're playing Gears of War, you're playing Assassin's Creed, you're playing the full game, you're picking up from where you left when you're at home
with a controller at home, so you're like,
exactly,
you're right, you want to play it that same way.
Yeah, so I think that that if you use the Stadia controller or the Xbox with xCloud, is it supported wirelessly on the phone? I'm
not entirely sure. The only controller I know that does work Bluetooth-wise was a DualShock controller. Because while you look that up, I will say that at one point, Silent Cloud said, just take a Switch with you, mate. And you make a really good point, because when they, I think, released the update that a PlayStation controller could work seamlessly with your phone, I had a flight to catch. So I think I booted up a game that I could play with a controller. I put a PlayStation controller in my bag. I had my Switch in my bag as well. I got on the plane and I was like, how do I do this so like it's comfortable, and how do I do it so it doesn't look weird? Not that I care what I look like in public. So I had the phone on the tray table that was pulled down, and I had my arms under the tray table with a controller, and I was just staring slack-jawed at a phone that was directly down and like cramping my neck, Oculus style. And I was like, this feels weird. I was hiding the controller under there. And eventually I was like, screw this, put it all in my bag and just got my Switch out. And I was like, I feel so much more comfortable like sitting here with a brightly colored mobile or like gaming device.
Totally. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, also the Switch, most of the mobile games that you're playing on your phone that warrant a controller are probably on the Switch as well.
Totally.
And I just looked it up. So some Xbox controllers, the Bluetooth ones will pair with the phone. Okay. So, and I assume all the newer ones will. So yes, there you go. You can just carry that around. And at that point, I think that that's probably when you're going to start using it the most.
Yeah.
All right, the final story for today is not a huge one, but, like, fuck it. EA eliminating their Origin brand and releasing the EA Desktop app. So the new app will offer EA Play and EA Play Pro subscriptions as opposed to what they currently have. So they're ditching the Origin name for something new. It describes it as a next-generation PC gaming platform using the EA Desktop app. Players can subscribe to the game subscription services EA Play and EA Play Pro. And then with this rebrand and relaunch, EA will eliminate the Origin name from its suite of products. So this... EA Origin has always been the one that has been the worst one for me in terms of subscription services. Really?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you meant I thought we were talking about the app and the interface and that kind of stuff here. But no, sorry. As a subscription service, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, but I was talking about the whole experience. What were you going to say? Uplay?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Uplay's pretty bad as well. I mean, most of the proprietary ones are actually pretty rubbish. The Battle.net is fine. Battle.net works well.
Battle.net's good because of its limited products. Like it only has, I think, like 8 or 9 games when you actually look at that library, and so that it is really manicured just for those products.
But for me, Origin just was rubbish. It would always crash for me. I would have problems with installing games. Games that I did install and had played one day would suddenly be corrupted and I need to reinstall.
Really? Wow.
It would log me out for some weird reason. It would never remember my login. There was just all sorts of stuff. And I saw a ton of things of people saying that they had problems with it. So that's now hopefully going to be a thing of the past. The more interesting thing about that is that EA. So there's EA Play and
Play Plus,
EA Play Pro.
Pro.
So EA Play Pro EPP is the one where you get all of the new EA games for free, or I guess included in your subscription.
Yep.
So when Squadrons come out, you get to play that as part of your subscription. EA Play gives you games that are like a year old that are part of their vault, and it gives you some discounts on new games, and you get to play some of them like for 10 hours for free or something. So EA Play is the thing that is coming to Game Pass and will be built into Game Pass, and also EA Play is the thing that you will also be able to get through Steam now that EA are adding their games to Steam. But I think as you said, all of this...
That's the one that gets you some like slightly older titles or things that they're like, oh, if you want it, you'll probably definitely get a Madden and a FIFA, but they might not be that year's most current version of it kind of thing.
Yeah. And BMAX says, what happens to all the games we bought on Origin? I believe it's just eliminating, it's just a rebrand and a relaunch of the app. So you still maintain all your Origin game licenses.
I assume your account lists, still exists.
Your account, everything. It's just, they're basically just making a new app and they're just rebranding it so that it's just called Play as opposed to Origin. So all your stuff is safe, but I don't know what necessarily happens with the transfer over if you start using Game Pass and EA, if those two things speak to each other. I don't think they will, because I think that the way that they're including EA
it's just they're putting those games into the Game Pass. Is that what,
exactly. Yeah, you don't need to like launch Game Pass and then log in with your EA subscription or
I don't know. That sounds so unintuitive and painful that part of me starts to think maybe that is what you'll have to do, Nick.
Well, I feel like that is what EA would want you to do, but I feel like Microsoft's whole thing is we just want we want as little friction as possible. Because you are not going to buy this box. Instead, you're just going to subscribe to this service, and it needs to feel like the easiest version of what it could possibly be.
Totally. Now that you mentioned, I'm thinking back to my Origin days, and I do remember in particular the friends list and the friends connection, and people being like, "I'm online," and the friends thing being like, I can't see you. It was synonymous for having some pretty bad connectivity issues there, as well as just if I have to deal with another overlay on my PC that uses a different shortcut to bring up the overlay, let's just like put it out there. Steam got it right with Shift Tab. It's always got to be Shift Tab to bring up your overlay, but you've got Uplay and Origin and Blizzard and all of those things, and they have different combinations of Control F2 and all that crap, and just no one has the brain capacity to remember such minuscule and unimportant shortcuts. So that's my gripe. And Origin as a design aesthetic, of going just like completely away from anything EA, going with this like bright orange and a weird icon that looked like an energy company, which is called Origin, I think. Just never had any
I'd never even thought of that.
Never had any staying power. And that might be an Australian thing, but like never had any proper staying power. I didn't look at it and have any brand loyalty in the way that I might look at a Steam logo and go like, yeah, that's my gaming area or something like that. It was terrible.
It's interesting to me that
that I care about that.
No. I was going to agree. The thing that has happened with a bunch of publishers and stuff over the last few years is that they're all starting these subscription services and stuff, and you see them start adding, okay, well, we were originally EA and we're going to put our own storefront, so we'll call that EA Origin, and that's kind of like the origin of where all your EA games come from is this app, and so we'll put that there. Then we'll have a subscription service, so we'll have EA Origin subscription, but then we want a tiered service, so maybe there's Origin Pro, but then we can't put that on PC as well. And then you start to see these companies go like, build all this stuff up and then go, we've built this web as we went, and now we need to rip it all down. And the same thing happened with HBO in the States, where they had like HBO
Max.
Go, HBO Max, and they started adding these more tiered, bifurcated services.
Yeah.
And then they go, we need to collapse the whole thing. And that's why I think that companies like Netflix and Steam and stuff, where you just go, we just do this one thing and we don't have, there's nothing special that you can do to change the way that you interact with our service, seem to have a leg up in terms of branding, at least, because EA Play Pro, I still think is a terrible name for a service.
It sounds like a league you would compete in FIFA or something like that. Like it gives me no actual information from the name itself.
It should be called ePay, because you pay for EA or EA Pay, and that's just what it's called.
It's funny that, like, yeah, you bring up things like Netflix and Steam, which were fortunate enough to get in on the ground floor and didn't have to have the iterations of their services and all the different tiers and that stuff. They literally, at the beginning, Steam doesn't have a subscription service or anything extra, I think, even now. And you're right, they haven't needed to because they were just an original storefront for games. Netflix was one of the most sort of at the forefront of streaming shows and movies, so it doesn't have 10 different tiers, I think, as many as the others. So it's like, yeah, unfortunately, if you just come late to that party, you're always going to be trying to play catch up with all the services at once. And yeah, it does start to splinter to the point of just an absolute headache. And rebrands make sense. They clear up a little bit of this clutter sometimes. And if they can streamline it, if they can make it more sensible, I say all more power to you. But it will leave a hangover of me calling it EA Gods and Monsters Origins. And I'll be like, which thing is it again? I only have so much brain capacity. And this is coming from two people who, as you said that description before, I love that you're like, they're building it as a web as they go. Coming from the people who are currently naming things back pocket, playback, back play, look backs, and the backup, whatever this is.
Can I find this thing? Oh,
we are causing ourselves like actual aneurysms at work where we go like, yeah, it's a look back play. Oh my god.
I'm probably not going to be able to. Oh no, here we go. So we were trying to get a name for the look back that we did last night.
2 nights ago. It's all a blur now.
2 nights ago, about
The Last of Us Part 2,
and we were trying to think of like, how do we name this segment? What do we do? And then I'd suggested back talk and back chat. And I said, well, talk back is for viewer submissions, and then back talk is when we look back at a game and talk about it. And Gus ended up coming up with look back, and I thought look back was really nice. But when I said talk back is for viewer submissions, where we talk about the questions that the back pocketeers have submitted, and then back talk is when we look back at a game to talk about it. And Pete said, this is going to get confusing. I was like, nah, mate, it's easy. We're called back pocket. Back pocket tonight doesn't happen tonight, but Thursday nights. Within that, we have the talk back, where we talk about people's back pocket questions, not to be confused with the back talk, where we look back at a game we've played and talk about it on back pocket. Speaking of playing games, check out the playback, where we play games on back pocket, and a few times a week we talk about the news with those games that we did playbacks on in the backup. And it's like, all right, we've seriously we've painted ourselves into a corner.
We've fallen into the trap that I saw a few people tweeting the other day. Just to go semi off topic for a second, there was the tweet from Xbox about what the Xbox S can play backwards compatibility wise. Did you see this?
No.
I wish I had it as a pull-up thing that I could reference, but people were all calling out this tweet that was just like, basically, the Xbox S can not play backwards compatible with the Xbox One, but it can play with Xbox One S's backwards compatible Xbox library and Xbox, and it like again, similar to that shitty press release from Warzone, it was like it literally in one tweet had Xbox or some form of it written 5 or 6 times, and by the end of it, it was just you'd read it and kind of, yeah, it made no sense whatsoever. So I think we're worrying that we're falling into that kind of that pattern as well. So we need to come up with new names for things that don't maybe use. The Xbox Series X will not run Xbox One enhanced versions of backwards compatible games, but will instead run Xbox One S versions on the Xbox One and Xbox 360 titles on the Xbox One X.
Insane. This is no way to live. A way to live, though, is to hang out with us on the Discord and as part of this wonderful community that you have become a part of, and we are thrilled to be back with you guys. Huh? No, you've just kind of frozen with like a nice smile on your face. While you're doing that,
hey,
no, that's fine. Well, the chat can't hear him. That's fine. Let's while we're waiting for him to come back, and he may be here only, but Joel Edgerton 46 shows off ripped body transformation. Aussie actor Joel Edgerton, according to news.com.au, 46 is looking absolutely shredded in these new photos taken at Sydney's iconic Bondi Beach yesterday. And Joel Edgerton looking like a damn snack right now, if I'm going to be honest. So that's your Joel Edgerton update.
Great.
Oh, actually, is he dating? Is he dating Saoirse Ronan? Is this a thing?
Oh,
is this a thing that I've missed?
It's Saoirse Ronan.
Is it Saoirse Ronan?
Yeah, right.
Wait. Or is he dating someone else? Let's find out who is he dating. Oh, no, he's currently dating Australian fashion editor Christine Centenera, who has been in a secret relationship, or he had been in a secret relationship with batch hopeful Juliet Hera way back in 2011 when he was filming The Great Gatsby. So there you go. That's your Joel Edgerton. But we'll get him up here in a second. We do need to be aware that there's some pretty hefty Joel Edgerton nipples coming up on screen that could break some terms and services. Is it terms and services that we break if we bring up Joel Edgerton's nipples? I mean, there you go. We just did it already. So there you go. Looking like a damn snack, Joel Edgerton. There.
Looking like me in another 10 years, I'm going to say. Maybe apart from the ripped body, but what is this slow pan?
What is this slow pan? So there's your Joel Edgerton news. If you want more Joel Edgerton news, then you need to join the Discord and head to patreon.com.
In general.
Just news on all the Edgertons?
All the Edgertons, yeah. And the Worthingtons as well.
Okay, can you plug the Discord and the Patreon and I'll find out what's happening with the Edgertons?
Sure. Yeah, so if you want to be part of the Back Pocket Discord, you would need to be a patron of our Patreon to be part of that wonderful group of people. And to do that, you can head to patreon.com/backpocket and sign up for one of numerous tiers with different rewards. People are talking about the gutters we're seeing there. And if you want to understand what that reference is, you'd have to be part of the post show. And to be part of the post show, you need to tune in on Thursday night, which is tomorrow night, and catch Back Pocket tonight, and then stick around after that where the secret Discord link is sent out. So go and check out the Patreon if you want to work out what all these references are for. And of course, you can jump across to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/back pocket channel, where this and many other videos get uploaded as well to be watched maybe in your own time instead of live. And while you're over there, you can subscribe to that. While you're here, you can subscribe to this. And I think that's everything. That's all our fingers in all our many pies and all our names of back-pocketed things. But if you come up with a name for a segment that we're currently not making, you can suggest that in the Back Pocket viewer feedback as well on the Discord.
We could
on an Xbox Series S.
We could do some sort of segment which is like the backup is already a thing. That's the thing you're watching right now, because I was going to say that could just be news that's kind of a pun about celebrities who have broken up. Speaking of celebrities who have broken up, Cardi B files a divorce from Offset and brands her marriage, quote, irretrievably broken. An irretrievably broken marriage in Cardi B.
What's a Cardi B?
She's a singer.
Oh, okay.
She's got, I mean, I don't know any of her songs, but she's definitely got them.
Good.
She's got songs.
Good.
Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about songs. I'll tell you what, someone else who has songs, Noel Gallagher, reveals he's refusing to wear a face mask despite UK laws. Noel Gallagher, more money than God, apparently, and not enough sense. So there you go. That's your celebrity news for the day. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We're going to be back this evening.
Sorry, just before we finish,
yeah.
Speaking of Sam Worthington news, did we cover that news?
Wait, what news?
The Sam Worthington news that he will star in a new drama about the Unabomber case. Sam Worthington will take a key role in the new scripted series from the Discovery Channel based on the Unabomber case. So my surprise there is that Sam Worthington still making content, apparently.
My surprise there that Sam Worthington stole the Unabomber role from you.
I like that I typed in TV news and the first thing that came up was Sam Worthington. I was like, get out of town.
We also can't forget that Sam Worthington and Lara Bingle in June of this year secretly welcomed their third son. So I don't know, the headline is a little unclear there about whether or not it was a secret for the rest of the world or that they secretly welcomed him, like the son came out and they were like, quick, come into this room.
I'm Lara Bingle. This is Sam Worthington. Yeah. He's starring in the Unabomber. You're our child. Keep this all under wraps.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right, that's all the news you need to know. Banjo.
Don't forget to tune in tonight, guys. It'll be on the...
You come say goodbye.
It'll be on the Back Pocket Twitch, and that's starting at 8 p.m. this evening with a special streamed playback at the end of it as well. And I think we're going to raid before we get out of here. Banjo's going to lead us in the raid.
Bye.
Say bye to Silverhawk.
Bye, Silverhawk.
Say bye to Girlpoke.
Bye, Girlpoke.
Say bye to Melodic Storm. And say goodbye to, maybe you'll say this right, Skiverick?
Skiverick. Perfect. I think we're about to raid Ameliorates. And I believe it's possibly their birthday as well. So, do we jump over there and say happy birthday?
Let's jump over there
correct?
and say happy birthday.
Am I getting the right information that it's their birthday?
No, you're right. You're right. Banjonian and birthday girl, happy birthday to her. So jump on that raid and go say happy birthday. We'll see you guys at 8 p.m. tonight for the chat about Gods and Monsters, Immortals, Last of Us, whatever, what Immortals, Phoenix Rising. That's what we're talking about.
Thanks for showing up today, Nick, as well.
For Back Pocket Day. Yeah, look, no worries. I was still doing a big poo.
And on that note, let's back it out.